everybody. Welcome to
Howdy.
Mentality Unleashed. I'm Brandon, Richie, Eric. We're all here. It's all happening. There's a lot of energy in the room. Lots of it's good energy. Um, it's just energy. All kinds of stuff's
Energy.
happening. Richie's got his new book. And we'll let Richie talk about it.
Wow.
He's he's actually really excited about it. He's being very bashful at the moment. Uh, and we've got Veterans Day. There's Thanksgiving coming up for everyone in the United States. Yeah, and then it is all happening. I mean, and then I think there was some kind of election or something, but I don't really follow politics too much. Really,
Uh,
Let that ship
no one cares
sail,
about that.
Brendan. Forget it.
let's let that
No one
one
cares
go.
about that, honestly.
Yeah, let's let
Especially not
that one
here.
go.
No one,
No,
no one's happy, right?
yeah. No one's happy. Everyone's happy. It's all.
That's
No.
They're
So
probably happy that it's over and the ads can move on to the Super Bowl or something
that's
else.
it. You can move it on. I'm sure everyone's sick of hearing it and whatever. We don't actually do politics in Ireland at all, so it's very peaceful here. We don't have any issues with anything.
No.
Nope. None that we're
Good.
talking about here today. Uh, but yeah, man, I'm just a displaced Canadian anyway. So
A,
yeah. Hey, man, what's going on, everybody?
A.
What's up,
Richie,
eh?
so tell us about this amazing book you wrote.
Yeah.
Which wolf do you feed? Would you feed? What's show us again, would you? Show us the
I
So,
want
cover.
to see it. I want to see it. I love the
which wolf
colors as well.
will you
Will.
feed?
Which one will you feed?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So, it was in a collaboration with Will Chesney, the All-American hero, Navy SEAL, retired. Um, he wrote the foreword for me. But really, kind of the book came from about 10 years ago. I touched on it. We were at an event with Towns for Troops, and I was asked the question, where did the idea of the wolf come from for the charity? Um, and it was a video that I saw about 10 years ago, which, being British, Cherokee legend never really kind of came into play. And it was on social media when social media was quite in its early stages. And it was just this really short video about the grandpa and the grandson, and they were having a conversation, and they ran through the questions. There's a wolf in two wolves inside of us. One's good, one's bad. And he goes through the story of what each wolf represents. And the grandson says, which wolf will win, and he says, whichever wolf you feed. So that stuck with me for a very long time, but it stuck with me subconsciously. So I was always in the back of my mind trying to be a good person in most of of um of the particular areas that I was working in, or whether it was through personal life. And we touch on that with the charity as well, because we have the four realms. But in each of those realms, I was trying to be a better person, and I was trying to enhance the circumstance, even if it was potentially a pretty shitty circumstance. So I wrote a book last year, fell into this year, which was it was an okay book, but it was a nice kind of starter book for me to understand what I need to do. And then I said to myself, I need to write this book because I've been kind of doing it for quite some time in my head. I've made loads of notes over the years about it, and then it just came to fruition. And it talks about the legend itself, and then it goes into how you can employ that legend into your life to enhance it. But then the book's about challenging the stigma around men's mental health and the shift from mental health to mental fitness. So it talks about the origins of mental health, more specifically with men and veterans. It talks about the problems that we have, the bumps that we need to overcome, and then it discusses what's out there at the moment for people around the world. So it's US-based data, but I put in charities and organizations that are around the world, because this is available throughout the entire world. And then I challenge what people are doing at the moment within the book, and the latter stages of it are my conclusion on what is out there, how good it is, and then it talks about how we can improve it as well. And I think that's really important, because it's a guide is more than anything. And I think if you read it as a guide rather than, a standalone book, you can highlight throughout pages and take away what's applicable to you. And then you can try and put that into your life and see if it works. And you know what? If it doesn't, cross it out, move to the next one. And that's what I think it's meant to be about. I think that's how I work. And, I'm very open with the PTSD. And I wish I'd had a book like this. And that's not to kind of, big myself up, but I genuinely wish I'd had a guide like this that gave me an explanation of I'm not alone. This has happened to millions of people and is still happening to millions of people, on a daily basis. There's men out there who are struggling as bad, worse, not as bad. We all have our different levels that we work at on a daily basis. But this gives you real life situations where you can say, oh, I could use that and I'll try that. And it might be something that you've never really wanted to go and look for. So it's really a gift to you, is the best way I can describe it. So that's the book to plug it as much as possible. But all of the so every single penny, every book that's sold, all of the money is going to Mentality Matters. It's all going to charity, all being donated to charity. So I'm not pocketing a single penny. Everything that this makes is going to go to the charity, and it's a men's. We talk about it on the show, but it's the men's charity. Building better men is our motto, and we're really trying to facilitate, and we are at the moment with the workshops, but we want to grow and we want to become something bigger that's countrywide for the US, which we already are, but we really want to implement certain programs that we've got in the background, and we want to spread worldwide because it's a fantastic the legend itself, the Cherokee legend of the two wolves is it's not just a timeless tale, but it's also something that every single person can understand because it's so simple. And I think that's for me, that's the big thing. That's really the really big thing that I took away from it.
I think you're right, Rich. Good and evil.
Mm.
I think from a very, very young age, people have an understanding of right and wrong. And right being, representing good and wrong representing evil. And in your brain, those two things exist. You know, do you think you can, I mean, do you think the idea is to kill the one wolf or to just let it starve?
No, I think it's an understanding. So you will always have a good wolf, a bad wolf inside of you, but it's about having the understanding of how to feed each one. And if you want to be, what we class as a good person, because this story transcends quite a lot of different areas that where we have friction in the world. So it transcends religion. So you can be any religion and you can still take this story and employ it. It can be any ethnicity, any culture can take this on and understand it. But you will always have these two represented as a good wolf and a bad wolf. And you can, ultimately it could be whatever you want it to be. And we used to talk about having, the devil and the angel is the way that I was described. But
Yeah.
really, it's just I think this whole story it makes more sense to me because you don't have to be someone who's religious and you can still understand it, or you could be religious and you can say, well, actually, yeah, I get that because I'm a Christian, and I was always taught devil, angel, but actually, I really the wolf for me growing up was a symbol of power. And I used to have dreams when I was younger, and there would be wolves in my dream. So I think for me, it's my well, I'm trying to
It's
think
your
of the
spirit
word here.
animal, man.
Spirit. That's exactly it. Yes. So I was thinking more Harry Potter when it comes, but yes, the spirit animal.
He's your
And I think
your
Patronus Charmer,
your
I think it is.
Patronus, man.
Yeah, that's
Oh
the one.
yes.
That's the
Oh,
one.
Harry
So mine would
Potter
definitely be
talk.
a wolf.
Oh shit, man. I love a little
So
Harry Potter. I don't know if mine would not be a wolf. Mine would be like a penguin.
there you go. Well, you
Well,
see,
we got to
big
look at
penguin
that,
wolf.
Brendan. What does that
Yeah.
mean?
I don't know, man.
I
I don't
always
know.
think of Batman, the TV show from the 60s with Burgess Meredith played the Penguin.
Dude, that would be amazing. Burgess Meredith was absolutely incredible. God bless you, Burgess Meredith.
So Richie, the good wolf, the bad wolf. You could actually, I think, take that in so many directions because you go in the work environment. And
Mm.
people complain sometimes. I've done it myself, not recently, thankfully, but they're like, I'm not getting ahead fast enough.
Mm.
And those people are often the ones who are gone by 5:15, and I'm not saying people don't have other things to do, but we live obviously in a knowledge-based economy today. So
Mhm.
are you or me or anybody doing to advance their knowledge, right?
Mm.
I mean, you could get anything on Google. I know, Richie, you're a big fan of ChatGPT. So all the information you need is there. When
Mm.
I was studying for the SAT in high school, I remember someone said, get these two books and improve your vocabulary, right? One was Word Power Made Easy, and the other one was 21 Days to a Better Vocabulary. I imagine at least one of them's around, if not both of them, right? And you're talking at least a couple of years ago, right? You know that to get a new word, right? If you want to advance, what are you going to feed the good wolf or the bad wolf, right? I mean, I
Mm.
know when I come home from, business, it's easier to watch Netflix or Amazon Prime, and I do it too much, right? But you know, I still am interested in advancing, so I read a lot and do different things. But you could feed either one, and it doesn't
That's
always have to be binary or the same time, right?
Yeah.
Eric, you make a
Yeah.
good point, and I mean, does this relate to fitness as well, you know?
It's
Um,
across the board. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a good question because when we say good, an example is I had a conversation with my two. I've got a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old, and they're learning to understand what the world's about. So when
Hmm.
I say you need to be good, this morning I sat down and I said to myself, okay, I didn't feed the good wolf yesterday. I had a moment and I fed the bad wolf. So this morning, reflecting upon that moment, I wondered what my children thought good meant. So I asked them, I said, okay, when mummy and daddy say you need to be good, what does that mean to you? What does that look like? What could it mean? What comes in your mind? What kind of thoughts do you have surrounding it? And each they took it, in turns. And Evie was like, listen to mummy and daddy. And Lincoln was like, don't shout. And Evie went, don't run around. And Lincoln went, don't mess your bedroom up. And to them, when we say be good, that's what it means to them. So it was important for me to understand what good meant to them and what bad meant to them. And when it comes to the tale of the two wolves, it's not just about being good as in being good as a person or your acts as a person, but as Eric alluded to and you've alluded to there, that actually it could be the good wolf is you want to gain knowledge. The good wolf is you want to improve your fitness. The good wolf is you want to improve relationships either at home or at work. So you can take that story and you can put it onto so many different topics, and it still makes absolute sense, which is why I think it's so powerful for me.
You can say it's being in congruity with your goals and what you want to accomplish and what kind of person you want to be and become, right?
Mm, yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely. Congruence, probably the perfect way to say it. Absolutely. Being in line with and being one with definitely is. But it's there for everyone. And actually, I was on a meeting on Friday, and it's a Friday, so it's every Friday. Mission Matters is the company. They just an amazing group of people, and Adam said, tell us about your book. So I was telling them about this, and I'm telling them about the story, and Greg, who's on there, I've met him a couple of times. He said to me, "Do you know, I've heard of it, but I've never really looked into it." So he Googled it at that point, and he was like, "Wow, I'm going to buy a book for a start, but also I'm now going to look at what that story means." And this is it's Native American, so it's Americans' history. It's the history of America in whatever shape and form it's currently in or was in the past. This is the indigenous people who lived here, and I think these to understand where you're going, you've got to understand where you came from. That's something I do believe.
Hmm.
So bringing these stories to the forefront of the history of America, I think is really important because it's positive. And I know at the start we touched on the election that's happened, and we don't get into politics on this show. But just under half of the population are feeling pretty shitty about things at the moment. And some will feel worse on the scale. Some will feel worse about it because, they're more into it than others who just decided to vote for one party. But there's a group of people out there who are really happy as well. And I think it's important to understand that that's a caption of a moment in time. And what I will say to people just on the back of that, because we've touched on the subject, is you can feed your good wolf when it comes to the situation. You cast your vote. That's what freedom of speech is. That's why we have it, and that's why there's an amazing document that is core to America's way of thinking. And you can either feed the bad wolf and complain about it, or feed the good wolf and just move forward in the hope that, and in the faith that everything that is being promised will be done. But ultimately, it's not really going to affect you now. So you're going to continue to live your life, you continue to have relationships, continue to see people on a daily basis. So instead of taking the bad wolf and allowing that to grow, feed the good wolf. And maybe that's a pertinent thing that we can talk about and say, that's one of the biggest things that's happened in American history for quite some time, I think, certainly the lead up. So let's
Rich, did
feed the
you
good
know?
wolf.
I don't want to. I just want to interject there because you're not. You're not the first English man to
Mm,
come over to North America and steep themselves in North American traditions. There
mm,
was a. Have you ever heard of the story of Archie Bellany?
no.
I'll tell you the name that most people know him by. Gray Owl. Have you ever heard of the story of Gray Owl? No.
No.
Well, there is a movie.
Enlighten us, please.
There
Don't let
is a
me interrupt
movie.
you.
There is a movie, and you can go and watch this movie. It stars Pierce Brosnan, and
What's
it's
it
called.
called?
I'm
How have
pretty
I
sure
not
it's
heard
called The
of
Story
this?
of Gray Owl.
Gray
I've not
Owl.
heard of
Let's
this.
see.
Gray
But Piers
Owl,
Brosnan's
Pierce
like
Brosnan.
up there. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
So there was a young guy in England who always read books about cowboys and Indians when he was younger. This is like a long time ago, right?
Mm,
And he was so moved by these stories that he left England and came to Canada and actually settled in a part of Canada which is not far from where I live, right?
mm,
The place is
Oh,
called Biscoe Tacing, which nobody knows where Biscoe Tacing is. It's literally the railway goes past it and that's it, right? So Archie settled there and he set himself up as a trapper. He was gonna live out in the woods and he was gonna trap beavers. That's what he was gonna do. And basically, the wilderness almost killed Archie on his. It was very close to killing Archie on his first year out. The winter was so severe that he wouldn't have made it, but for the help of the native people that lived there. And
mm,
they took pity on him. He was the only, one of the only white people living in the area at the time, and they thought he was an absolute riot because of the things that he did was just so different.
mm.
Um, Archie um, dyed his hair black with boot black.
oh
And
my.
he dyed his long hair. He grew his hair long. He dyed it with boot black. He started wearing the leathers that he trapped and that people gave him. And he started to dress like a native person. And then when Europeans came over, Archie took them on basically like stealth walks through the forest and filled them with lore and legend and mystery, right? And he was a salesman and he was absolutely incredible, right, at what he did. So incredible that he taught the natives how to do a war dance. They're like, "What is that, Archie?" And he's like, "Here, let me show you." And he taught them how to do the war dance for the tourists that came. He became so sensational that he eventually went back and visited the Queen of England as a real Indian, as a real Native American. He went, "This is all true, right?" He did
Ah.
that. Nobody knew that he was really a white man. And
Wow.
he looked native. He played the part so well nobody believed it. he there it's not all positives with Archie. There was a few other things in there that were quite, let's say like unsavory
Don't
here
ruin it. Brendan is
and there.
great. So
But
I'm
but
looking at
he
I'm
so
looking at
anyway,
Go ahead, sorry.
he finishes his life with a couple of wives here and there.
The
And
same time?
and he becomes a great advocate. Yes, I think it was actually at the same time here and there, and they did not know about each other. It came to light later, much later. Um, he was a great advocate and he became a preservationist and looked after the wildlife and in terms of specifically the beaver. So in order to kind of to make sure the beaver didn't go extinct in his area, so he took it on and became a conservationist. And so there's is quite a legacy for Archie. But there's books written. He wrote books. He's very well studied. But the story of Archie Bellany, um, a very, very interesting man, just like yourself, Richie, who came from England to North America. And it is very interesting that you've chosen this legend of the two wolves because I'm sure Archie was happy to eat almost anything that he possibly could on his first winter, and he was eating the
Mhm.
moss under his boots, I'm sure, at one stage. But without the help of the people around him, he most certainly would have perished. But he was very famous. He believed in himself so much that he was able to do insurmountable things, incredible things. And he inspired so many people around him to become more than they were, really. Like he jazzed everybody up and he really breathed a lot of life into that place, man. And it's only
Mm.
just 150 miles away from where I live. I used to go hunting there. I
Wow.
used to hunt in the same place. It's incredible, man. Um, and it's a Disney movie. Not too many
Really?
people know about it, you
A
know?
Disney movie. It's Gray Owl, Grey, second word owl, OWL, and it's on IMDb. It says the story of the life and work of the Canadian fur trapper turned conservationist who claimed to be an Aboriginal North American.
Who was most definitely European. He was most definitely
Ah.
European. And it's true. Like, it's a really interesting read. And the books that he wrote were very interesting too. Very naturalistic sort of view. And I'm sure he probably was a salesman. Could you imagine going back to England, an Englishman going back to England covered in feathers and like
Mm.
war paint and doing a war dance in front of the Queen? Like that happened, right? Crazy. But amazing.
Brandon, I gotta just interject.
I know it's
Don't
hard to
give
interject.
Richie any ideas. All right.
I'm
I
definitely,
mean,
definitely not going
you are
to.
coming back over here, and I mean, I'm not expecting you to do any dancing, but maybe you'll meet the king. I don't know, man.
I mean,
I would be very
I
loving.
have to give Richie a shout out. So Richie and I have been friends now probably 2 years, and he encouraged me in lots of ways, right? He was, you know this, he was my personal trainer, but we started talking about this and that, and I write a lot of worksheets, so he looked at those and he's like, tools to help people get more productive. But we ended up creating a friendship where no criticism, no negativity,
Mhm.
no judgment.
Mhm.
So it is so healthy because how many times in a day, in a week, do we all go by each other? We're racing, 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 racing. We're trying to get the kids to school. We're driving, driving, driving. And you forget that we're all people and we need, putting aside that we're men, right? You need
Mhm.
a space to be free. You need a space to vent and
You do, man.
speak your mind, speak your heart. And Lord knows my dad, God bless him, he's almost 93. He's just consuming so much time because I'm paying his bills and all this stuff. And Richie's like, never once has he said, I'm tired of hearing about it. So Richie's a good man. So are you, Brendan. But
Oh,
and
thank you.
that's I think what we should all aspire to, and just remember that you don't know which wolf's coming out today. And
Mhm.
you can give someone a kernel of hope, a smile, just a listen and say, I hear you. I hear
Mhm.
what you're saying. right? And acknowledge that. And I'm grateful to Richie who's done that. We he calls it a brew, where we go to Starbucks down the road and have iced tea or coffee or hot chocolate. And I think everyone should try to do that, you know?
You got
Get
to
in touch with someone
you
you
have to
haven't
check in. You have to check in with your mates,
check
don't
in.
you?
Mm.
Check in.
Yeah, do a check-in. Check-in's important. I think because veterans. So it's Veterans Weekend. Today's Remembrance Sunday. For us, ex-military, British ex-military, and around the world, I know everyone has their own thing that they do on their own days in their own way. But for us, today is really a solemn day where we remember those who have passed away and given their lives the ultimate sacrifice that they could give for our freedoms and freedom of speech. That we touched on that earlier. And I think this weekend is probably a tough one for a lot of people, male and female, who have served, um, who are remembering those individuals. I know I was talking to a friend of mine, I won't mention any names, but he was saying, in his days of being in the military, the amount of people that he saw die around him who are friends, and it was just, you have to keep on going, you have to keep on pushing through, and you don't get time to think about it. But on a day like today and tomorrow in the US, we've got the New York Veterans Parade, which we're very graciously being invited to, and I'll be on it. So there's going to be a lot of people there who are suffering in silence. So check-ins are very important. Having the right group around you is very important. Those who will help you feed the good wolf, that's pivotal to whether or not you continue to progress, is the way I like to describe it, through whatever symptoms you've got, whatever anxieties, depression you've got. You want to progress, you need to have the right people around you. But it's okay to feel the moment. And that's something that took me 10 years to understand. Is that you're going to feel sadness, you're going to feel pain. And actually, at the moment, I'm writing because I am starting another potential book. I said I wasn't going to do it, and I've started it this morning. So, and it talks about something called a consequential universe, a universe where we learn through doing, and it's not about a consequence; it's a fallout from actions, and it can be any action, good, bad, whatever it is. Just taking a walk can have an
Mhm.
action and a reaction. So, it's talking about that, and it's talking about the fact that when you learn to walk, you have to fall and you fall forward and you fall 1,000 times, but at some point your brain's going to click into gear and you're going to understand, wow, this is how I don't do it, and this is how I do it. And it's that moment when you get to the point of understanding how you do it, that's when you get to move forward from whatever moment you're in. So for the people who are out there who are depressed, anxious, who are suffering in any way, shape, or form, fall forward. You've got to continue to crawl. You've got to fall over a few times, and then at some point your brain will click in and go, "Do you know what? I need to get my ass out of bed, and I need to push through this day." Or if you've got a family, just go and take a moment with them. And that's what my next book's going to be about. It's going to be about how do we fall forward, because the book currently, Witch Wolf, is about what do you do now, history now, potentials. But actually, I really want to coach in the next book people through things, everything that I went through, because it doesn't say it on the book and it doesn't say it inside the book. But I do suffer with PTSD on a daily basis. You know, it's good, bad days, but you've got to get up and you've got to push through. So I'll fall quite a few times a day, but I'll know that I'll be walking at some point. So getting out of bed, making your bed, that's the first thing you should be doing. And we touched on
Good
that a few
routine.
days ago. Get a routine and live the routine, because routine is what keeps you alive. Routine is what kept you alive in the military. It's what keeps you alive as a first responder. It's what keeps you alive as a man. So get a routine, get it down, get good at it, and then it becomes natural. And
You're
before
you're,
you
you're
know it,
not
you're doing
you're
shit.
not wrong, Rich, man. You're so right. I just sent my old sergeant a picture of my shaving cream top. I still wash the top of my shaving cream off and make sure like there's nothing at when I put the lid on. And I thought, do you know who's going to want to see this? My old Sarge. And I sent him a picture. I said, Sarge, I finally got it right. and there was no shaving cream on the top, and he just sent me back like a laughy face emoji. He said, 20 years later, Brendan, finally. Yeah, you're right, man. Routines, they are very grounding, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean,
Actually, that's funny, Brendan. Wasn't so funny at the time. About 15, 17 years ago, some rogue people in Florida opened 4 charge cards in my name. And thankfully, nothing really bad happened. But I was, since then, I check my checkbook balance online every day. I think Richie the other day said, "Do you make your bed every day?" Mostly, yeah. But that is something I find grounding, right?
it's
Because
part
I
of your
know that,
routine. Everything's okay. Yeah,
this.
it's fine.
I just want to pivot for 1 second. I know we're running out of time. Richie and Brendan, you're both coaches and involved in our charity Mentality Matters. What kind
Mhm.
of complimentary or free, people understand that better sometimes, free coaching programs are there available online on the web mentalitymatters.org website? Because people reaching out, they can get involved. Tell us about that.
Well, we've started a few already. We have one on. There was a chat on anger we did recently, which is it's up, isn't that right, Richie?
So it
Uh,
will be up. Yeah, we've got videos, we've got recordings. So they will be going live on our Rumble and YouTube.
yeah, Rumble. If you don't have a Rumble account, get one because
It's
you'll be able
free.
to see quite a bit there, and it's free, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
There was one on anger. There's one on anxiety, and there's one coming up on resilience. We're gonna do, but I mean, and there's quite a bit of coaching, and there's some fitness coaching as well. Isn't that right, Rich?
Mm.
What did
Yeah,
what did Herman talk about, by the way?
Yeah,
Eating? Did
Herman
he get
yeah.
eating?
Sanders.
His was fitness. Herman's
Fitness.
just he is he's one of the most knowledgeable individuals I've met when it comes to fitness. So he was a physio, nutrition it just everything you can think of when it comes to your body. He is there. He understands it, and he specifically works with men who are over 40. So big shout out to Herman, amazing guy. If you want to get fit, he is definitely one of the guys to go to. And if
There,
you're over 40, he'll do
that's
it for
good.
you.
We're over 40. Here, I was
That,
just
We're
gonna
way
that
over.
say,
ship sailed, man.
yeah,
Even
yeah, I'm a
Richie's
little over
over
40.
40 now.
There is one on YouTube you can watch. It's called How to Wake Up Early, and it's
Mm,
basically about Marcus Aurelius. How to wake up early. It's on YouTube. It's not really about how to wake up early. It's about how to establish a new routine, uh,
Mm,
how to make it stick. It's about 15 minutes. You can listen to it as opposed to watching it. It has some cartoony things on it and some pictures and things, but it's a 15-minute chat on how to establish a new routine. I used it a few times 2 years ago, and it was brilliant. Really, really
mm,
nice, helpful, grounding, useful stuff, and not particularly difficult. And you hear a lot of like cool quips about Marcus Aurelius, which is neat. You know, How to Wake Up Early on YouTube was really good. I thought that was nice.
mm.
Yeah, there's loads out there. There's loads out there, Eric. But I
Yeah,
found that one useful, Rich, and there's stuff on our website going up too. So check the
yeah,
website.
yeah. Absolutely. When we move through the coaching, so we already do the online workshop, which was, it's amazing. And I go and with the coaching that is done, um, Brendan does coaching. We have other coaches who are going to be involved as well as we go along. But I learned something new, and I've been a coach for 19 years. Um, every day's a school day, and everyone's got a different perspective, and everyone's got something, amazing that they can share. That's what it's about. Um, so the workshops, you can go to the website, mentalitymatters.org, sign up through there. It's totally free. It's all done on Zoom. So get yourself there, and come and say hello. It's an open forum, so you can talk about your problems, you can ask questions. And whilst we do have a topic for that particular session, each of the sessions, we're more than happy to put on more sessions if people need it or want it. So, we have enough capability and manpower to be able to do so. And it's actually something I really enjoy, and I would like to get involved a bit more myself. But as the president, I have a bit of a backward step. So I'm kind of in the sky at the moment when it comes to that stuff. So I'd like to be grounded a bit more as we move forward. But yeah, I mean, so much out there, so much you can do. Definitely get the book. Everyone who's watching, listening, definitely get the book. Which Wolf Will You Feed? Richard Sharratt. Forward by Will Chesney. It's just for me, I would say I'm reading it at the moment. Funny enough, I've read it about 10 times, but I sat in the park today and I took a copy with me and I'm reading it again. And actually, I am highlighting bits of my own book that I am going to go and put into my life. Because it's okay for me to sit there and write it and say, you can do this, you can do that. But there's times that even I forget to do it. So having something like this to be able to go, yep, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that, it's really great. So yeah, on that note, gents, we're gonna have to sign off. Again, the time seems to fly, but
Yeah, man.
for anyone out there, like we say every single week, if you've got a question or comment that you want to put on
Yep.
there, I know a couple of you
Chuck
have
us
commented.
a message.
Definitely do. Drop us a private message. There are a few comments on there at the moment. I will get to reading them this weekend and replying. So if I haven't already, I do apologize, but it's been a busy week with the book release and Veterans Weekend, so we will definitely do that. And if there's any questions in there or any topics you want us to talk about, we will definitely throw that into next week's, and we'll give you a
And
shout out as well.
stay close to your brothers this weekend and over the next weeks, the coming weeks. And if you see anybody withdrawing, pull them out of their cave, pull them out into the sunlight,
Mm,
and you know, keep them upright. You got to get over
absolutely,
some humps out there.
absolutely,
Amen.
absolutely. On that note, we shall sign off.
Have a good
Have a great
week.
weekend. Stay safe.